Hey guys, imagine this. You're 19, wearing 3 layers of wool, none of them are working. Your breath fogs in front of your face and freezes on your lashes. Your rifle? Jammed. Again. Your fingers? Numb, probably for good. And your boots, they're frozen solid around your feet like cement shoes. It's the middle of the night. December 1950. Northern Korea. You're not in a city. You're not even near one. You're on a frozen mountainside 60 miles from nowhere, surrounded by Chinese infantry and worse, surrounded by cold that doesn't care if you're a soldier, a saint, or already half dead. This isn't Band of Brothers. This isn't Normandy. This is the Korean War. And the snow wants to kill you just as much as the bullets do. You're tired, starving, shaking. You haven't slept in 3 days. Haven't changed your socks in 5. And somewhere out there, past the trees and the fog and the silence that isn't really silence, they're waiting. And they're warmer than you are. If you want more stories like this, real, raw, and unfiltered, without speeches or slow-motion heroics, tap the like button. And tap subscribe so you don't miss the next one. It helps us keep making them. Now close your eyes. You're not in your bed anymore. You're in a foxhole. In the snow. In the coldest war America ever forgot. And the night is just getting started. You think cold is uncomfortable. You think it's something you fix with gloves or soup or a better jacket. You don't know cold. Not like this. You're kneeling in snow so hard it feels like broken glass. Your canteen's frozen. Your rifle's locked up. Your breath cracks in your lungs when you try to inhale too fast. And your feet. You stopped feeling your feet 30 minutes ago. That's not good. It's night. But that doesn't mean it's quiet. It's too quiet. Just trees. Wind. Ice shifting under your knees like it's thinking about snapping. And somewhere out there in the dark Chinese patrols, moving like ghosts. No radios, no lights, no warmth. Just bodies wrapped in cotton, swarming like smoke. You can't see them, but you know they're watching. You blink. Ice cracks off your eyelashes. You try to adjust your helmet. The strap is stiff, frozen in place. You try not to cough. That would give you away. Your throat's raw from breathing in too much air that feels like knives. You're tired. But not just tired. You're Korean War tired. That's a different kind of exhaustion. It's not from running or fighting or yelling. It's from being so cold for so long that even your blood is starting to whisper, why are we still doing this? The guy next to you, Dunlop, hasn't said a word in 40 minutes. You're not sure he's awake. You're not sure he's alive. His helmet's crooked. His scarf's stiff with spit and frost. You nudge him. He twitches. Okay, still with you. Barely. Somewhere off to your left, someone sneezes. Then silence. Then crack. Single rifle shot. Far away, echoes across the hills like a warning bell. You don't move. No one does. Because that was the first shot. It's not combat yet, not a firefight. But it's coming. And when it does, your body will have to decide what gives out first. Your lungs or your trigger finger. You glance down at your weapon. M1 Garand, 8-round clip. Classic. But now, it's an icicle with a strap. The bolt's frozen shut. You're breathing on it gently, like it's a wounded animal. Doesn't matter. Because once the fighting starts, if it starts, you'll probably only get 2 or 3 shots off before the cold locks it up again. Or you drop it. Or your hands just give up entirely. You look at your gloves. They're not gloves. They're wishful thinking, standard issue. Wool, threadbare, soaked through with your own sweat and freezing piss. You wring them out. They make a noise like cracking leather. The sergeant creeps over. His breath is a plume of fog. His voice is low. 2-man patrols overdue. Assume contact. Stay alert. You nod. as if alert is something you can turn on with a switch, as if you weren't already running on pure adrenaline and cold-induced paranoia. You check your boots again. Bad move. Because when you lift your heel, the whole foot feels wrong. Not painful, not burning, absent. You think, maybe that's good. Then you remember what numb really means out here. It means frostbite. It means black toes. It means the medic's pulling out a hacksaw. You think about wiggling your toes, but your body's already decided, too late for that. Another sound. This time, footsteps. Not boots, not crunching snow. Padding, cloth on ice. Careful, deliberate. You freeze. Not like earlier. Really freeze. Dunlop tenses next to you. He heard it too. You both lower yourselves slow, like melting wax into the foxhole. You listen. One set of steps, then two, then four. Too quiet to be yours. Too fast to be animals. They're flanking. Chinese. Maybe 10 yards out. Maybe closer. You can't see a damn thing. You hold your breath. The snow doesn't just muffle sound, it erases it. And then a flare goes up. Bright. Green. Hissing through the trees. And for 1 second the forest lights up like it's been struck by lightning. You see them. 5 shapes. Close. Moving in a line. Rifles, bayonets. No helmets. They see you too. Time stops. Then it starts. Gunfire. Screams. Bark exploding off trees. You fire once. Jam. Dunlop fires twice. Misses. Then curses. Then disappears into the brush like a ghost that never happened. You drop into the foxhole, slam your frozen bolt open with the heel of your hand. It moves barely. You chamber another round, pull the trigger. Click. Nothing. You hear footsteps charging, then a scream not yours. You don't know whose. Could be American, could be enemy, could be someone who slipped and shattered their ankle on a rock and will die out here because no one has a stretcher. You crawl, half frozen, half panicked, half praying. You grab your backup. .45 pistol, warm against your side from body heat. Loaded. You raise it, shaking your bones. One figure in front of you, too close, you fire. The muzzle flash blinds you. The recoil throws your shoulder back. You fire again, then silence. You blink. Vision clears. Figure down, not moving. You don't look at the face. You won't look at the face. You crouch, count bullets. 3 left. You wait. The wind moves again. The cold presses back into your ribs like an old friend that's just a little too close. You breathe through clenched teeth. You don't feel your hands anymore. Your trigger finger is bleeding split open. Frozen blood on a frozen trigger. And it's only been an hour. Just 60 minutes into the night. You haven't even started marching yet. Haven't even climbed the ridges. Haven't seen what the wind does to a body that doesn't make it to morning. You lie in the snow, teeth chattering like a broken radio, pistol shaking in your palm. And somewhere deep in your gut the truth finally settles in. You're not here to win. You're here to survive long enough to freeze slower than the guy next to you. You try to stand. Your knees don't listen. Your legs are 2 dead logs wrapped in wet wool and frostbitten regret. You grab the edge of the foxhole and pull yourself up, groaning. Bad idea. Your spine cracks like an old tree branch. Your hip seizes. Your boots squish not from water, but from what feels like slush and skin. You don't want to know which parts are still alive. There's no sun. Just the faint suggestion of grey leaking over the horizon. Dawn maybe? Or just the snow playing tricks on your brain again. You reach down, try to feel your toes. You can't. And that's when it hits you. You're not cold anymore. You're beyond cold. You've crossed into that dangerous place where your body stops sending warning signals, where the shivering dies, where the pain turns to silence, where your fingers feel warm again right before they turn black. You peel off one glove. Big mistake. The tips of your fingers are grey, not pale. Grey, like stone. Your nails are purple, one's cracked. There's blood, frozen solid into a little crown at the edge of your knuckle. You wiggle your hand. Nothing. You flex. Only your wrist responds. Your fingers? Gone. Not dead, not yet. But they've packed their bags. You slip the glove back on. Too late. Flesh sticks to the inside, rips as you push. You wince, bite your tongue. Blood pools under it. You've been outside too long. Your boots crunch as you try to walk. Not snow, not really. It's the leather cracking. The sole's stiff like wood, laces like frozen wires. Each step is a gamble. And inside the boot, your socks are soaked. You're pretty sure they've frozen to your skin. You don't want to check. You can't check. Because if you take the boot off now, it's not going back on. You take another step. Pain. This time it's not dull, it's sharp, focused, real, and in a strange, twisted way. That's good. Pain means the nerves still have something left to scream about. You take that as a win. Dunlop is behind you now. Or what's left of him. One arm tucked into his coat, other hand holding a bandage across his chest. He looks like a scarecrow that's been through a meat grinder. He limps up beside you, eyes crusted with frost, snot frozen to his lip. Feet? He asks. You nod. He nods back. That's the whole conversation. Ahead, the line is forming. Not a line. Exactly more like a cluster of half-dead men pretending they're still an army. One guy is sitting in the snow, boot off, foot exposed. It's black. From heel to toe. Black and blue and red all in the wrong places. Swollen. Cracked. The medic crouches next to him. No amputation out here, he says. Too dirty. You'll have to walk. The guy doesn't respond. He's looking at his own foot like it belongs to someone else. Another man tosses a pair of socks at him. They're stiff, half frozen. But it's all he's got. You look at your own pair. Soaked, icy. No dry ones left. You used your last clean pair as bandages yesterday for someone who didn't make it. You keep walking. Your breath clouds around you like cigarette smoke. Every step hurts. Every pause hurts more. The cold is like a second enemy, smarter, quieter, meaner. It doesn't charge. It waits. It gets into your bones. Not metaphorically, literally. You feel it in your knees, your spine, your teeth. Your jaw aches when you try to talk. Your molars feel like they're about to shatter from the pressure of the cold. The sergeant yells something up ahead. A command. Move out, or regroup, or pray harder. You can't hear it over the crunch of boots and the ringing in your ears. You fall into the march. That's what they're calling it. A march. Sounds organised, clean. It's neither. It's a parade of broken silhouettes hunched over and dragging themselves one step closer to a hill that probably has more Chinese on it than trees. You try not to think. Thinking leads to feeling. Feeling leads to despair. So you focus on the boots in front of you. One step, another. You feel your socks freeze inside your boot. They stiffen, then crunch. Your foot goes numb, then your ankle. You keep moving, because if you stop, you're dead. No gunfire, no glory. Just hypothermia and the snow swallowing your body before sunrise. Behind you, someone slips, cries out. No one turns around. You hear the groan, the thud, then silence. Either they got back up, or they didn't. Same result. The medic's already overwhelmed. You walk past a tree covered in icicles. Looks beautiful for a second. Then you notice what's under it. 3 men, blankets pulled up over their faces. Rifle still slung. Boots off. You know what that means? They weren't asleep. They froze. Together. You want to feel something. You don't. You just note the fact and keep moving. You're too cold to cry. Your feet are 2 bricks of meat and regret. Your hands, wooden claws. Your skin, paper, cracking at every joint. You don't wipe your nose anymore. It's frozen in place. Ahead, someone coughs. A deep, wet cough. Then blood hits the snow. Red, sharp, warm for half a second. Then gone. The sergeant shouts again. We're 5 clicks out. Dig in. You want to collapse. You don't. You want to scream. You can't. So, you do the only thing that makes sense anymore. You drop to your knees and start digging. With your hands, because your shovel snapped 2 days ago. Your fingers bleed. The snow soaks it up. You press your boot against the ground hard. Try to kick out a divot. The earth is like rock. You dig anyway, because that's all you can do. Build a hole. Crouch in it. And wait for the next hour to try to kill you. Because here, in Korea, in this frozen, forgotten war, the bullets are only half the danger. The rest is in your boots, and your bones, and the cold that's already halfway done with you. You've been awake for 47 hours, maybe more. You stopped counting after 36, because after that the numbers just feel like a joke. Sleep isn't a thing anymore. It's a rumour. A myth someone told you during training back when rest came in full nights, not 90-second shoulder slumps against frozen dirt. Now, sleep is the thing that makes you flinch. Because every time your eyes start to close, something reminds you. If you nod off, you might not wake up. Not because you die, but because your body forgets how to restart. You're in a foxhole. Again. Not really a hole, more like a dent in the side of a hill covered in wind, fear and frost. Your head keeps bobbing. You snap upright, then slump, then jerk awake again like your spine just got electrocuted. The guy next to you, Walters, is already out. Mouth open, helmet tilted back, rifle across his lap. Not snoring, just breathing weird. You reach over and nudge him. No response. You do it again, harder. He groans, coughs, spits. Alive. Barely. You whisper, "Don't sleep." He nods. Immediately starts dozing again. You don't blame him. The night is colder than the last one, not by degrees, but by spite. The kind of cold that hates you. That sneaks into your lungs, sits behind your eyes and waits for you to close them so it can slide a knife into your heart made of pure exhaustion. Your brain starts playing tricks. You hear things that aren't there. A voice. A laugh. The sound of your dog barking back home. You look left, nothing. You look right, no dog, no home, just snow, trees and the never-ending groan of the wind like something dying very slowly over the ridgeline. Your vision goes double for a second, then triple. You blink hard. Still there. You shake your head. The snow swirls in your peripheral vision like ghosts. You're not sure they're not ghosts. You try to focus on your rifle. On the bolt, on the chamber, on anything real. But your hands don't want to move. They just sit there, stiff, pale, disobedient. You check your watch. Battery's dead. You check the sky. Still dark. Of course. You think about laying your head down. Just for a second. Just to blink longer. You think, I'll rest my eyes. I won't fall asleep. That's what everyone thinks. Right before they freeze to death face down in a snowdrift. A corporal you knew did that last week. Made a pillow out of his pack, closed his eyes, gone before the sun came up. The cold had hollowed him out like a pumpkin. His rifle was still in his hands. His face looked peaceful. But the snow around him was red. You're not sure why. You never asked. You lean your head against the frozen earth behind you. It bites back. Your helmet scrapes the rock, sends a crack of ice cascading down your collar. Now your neck is wet. That'll freeze in minutes. You curse under your breath. Then movement. Not loud, just a shuffle. You sit up fast, raise your weapon. Your heart goes from 0 to panic. Nothing there. Just a tree branch settling. Or maybe a rat, or a hallucination. You sigh. And just like that, gone again. You're almost asleep. And now you're wide awake like you drank a gallon of fear. You rub your face. The stubble scratches. The skin underneath is numb. Your eyes ache. They burn, not from light, from lack of it, from too much staring into nothing. And it's not just you. Everyone's off. You've seen it in the others, the guys who walk patrol with their helmets on sideways, mumbling song lyrics, giggling at nothing. You've seen a man aim his rifle at a snowbank because he swore it was blinking at him. You've seen someone forget their own name. You've seen a guy shoot at shadows and hit a friendly. Sleep deprivation doesn't make you tired. It makes you insane. 1 minute you're whispering jokes to your buddy. Next minute you're sobbing into your gloves because you thought the moon was a spotlight and the trees were applauding your death. And the worst part, there's no time for sleep. There's no rotation. No night off. No catch-up nap. Not here. Because even when the bullets stop flying, the weather doesn't. And even when the weather gives you mercy, the orders don't. March, dig, patrol, repeat. The body can survive a lot, but it remembers. Your joints ache. Your bones creak. Your stomach churns. You eat and it goes right through you. You drink and it freezes in your canteen before you can swallow. Your dreams, if you ever slip into one, are stitched together from nightmares and war films you didn't know your brain had stored. You dream of warmth, then wake up sweating, then realise that was just piss and now you're freezing again. You laugh, quietly, not because anything's funny, but because if you don't laugh you'll scream, and screaming gets you killed. So you sit there, eyes wide open, body half dead, brain rewiring itself around the idea that sleep is for people who aren't in Korea right now. A whistle sounds in the distance. You jerk upright. Just a bird? Maybe. Or the start of another night ambush. Walter stirs again, mumbles something about home, then he's out. You want to shake him. You don't. Because part of you is jealous. You wish you were that lucky to sleep like that. Even if it means you never wake up. You close your eyes just for a second. And the darkness behind your lids whispers something horrible. What if this is the dream? What if you already froze out there, in some ditch? And this is the part your brain's making up to soften the end? You open your eyes fast, panting, clutching your rifle like a drowning man holding driftwood. Still here, still awake, still waiting for a sun that feels like it'll never come back. And in that moment, you finally understand the quiet truth of this place. Out here, in the Korean mountains, in the middle of winter, sleep isn't rest, it's surrender. You used to trust your weapon. Back in training, they said it was an extension of you. An extra limb, a reliable friend. Now, it's dead weight. A frozen metal curse you drag around like guilt. You're staring at it now, your M1 Garand jammed open, steam curling out from the chamber like it's exhaling its last breath. It worked for maybe 3 shots this morning. Then the bolt seized. You tried clearing it with your knife. That broke the knife. You tried spitting on it. That froze. So now, you're just holding a 7-pound paperweight that screams "I'm next" every time you lift your head over a trench lip. The oil's too thick. The spring's too stiff. The trigger's coated in ice so thin it looks like glass. You slap the stock. Nothing. You slam the butt against the frozen dirt. It kicks back like a rock. The jolt sends a sharp stab up your wrist. You want to scream. Instead, you whisper the most blasphemous thing a soldier can think. "I miss my shovel." Because at least the shovel still works. You pull your gloves off. Bad move. Instant regret. Your fingers stick to the bolt like skin to dry ice. You yank them back, lose a patch of skin in the process. You hiss, suck on the wound, taste blood and rust. Your hands are shaking now. Not from fear. From betrayal. Not by the enemy, by your own equipment. Every part of your gear is turning against you. Your helmet's too cold to wear without padding. Your boots are starting to split at the heel. Your canteen's a solid brick of ice. Your field dressing is so stiff it might as well be cardboard. And now, your rifle the one thing standing between you and being bayoneted in the dark? It's frozen shut. Across the line someone fires a shot. Then a click. Then cursing. Then silence. You're not alone. You see Dunlop kneeling next to a log, breathing into the chamber of his bar like he's trying to resuscitate a corpse. He gives up, grabs a rock, starts tapping the charging handle like it owes him money. You crawl over. He looks at you, shrugs. "Cold hates steel," he says. Then, as if to prove his point, the rock shatters in his hand and does nothing to the weapon. You both laugh, not because it's funny, but because it's either that or start screaming and never stop. You sit down back to the frozen ridge. You start field stripping the M1. Each part comes loose with the gentleness of a prison riot. The rear sight shears in your fingers. The spring refuses to uncoil. Your bolt carrier looks like it's been dipped in superglue. You manage to clean the chamber with a rag dipped in spit and misery. You reassemble. Try the action. Slam. Click. Still nothing. It's not jammed now. It's frozen. The temperature dropped again. You can feel it. Your breath fogs out of your nose, curls around your cheeks, and hangs there like a reminder. This isn't war anymore. This is survival in a walk-in freezer where everyone has a rifle that doesn't work and gloves that don't fit. You remember what they told you at the armory back in basic. Keep it clean, keep it dry, it'll serve you well. They never said anything about minus 30 degrees and wind that chews the oil right out of the mechanism. You look at Dunlop again. He shrugs, points to a buddy further down the line. That guy, using his bayonet as a hammer, trying to chip ice off the trigger guard like he's sculpting the Statue of Liberty. It's sad. It's stupid. It's normal now. The sergeant stomps past, sees your rifle half open, and growls, "Get that damn thing working or pick up a dead man's." You don't answer. You just stare at your rifle like it's a traitor wearing your best friend's uniform. You think about the bullets in your pouch. Clean, dry, wrapped in wax paper like they'll be ready when you need them. They won't be. You pulled one earlier, the casing cracked in your glove. You loaded it anyway, because it's not about effectiveness anymore. It's about the illusion of readiness. You'd rather look armed than admit out loud that you're not. Because if you say it, if you tell the guy next to you that you've got a rifle-shaped icicle instead of a weapon, you're not just a liability. You're already dead. And speaking of that guy, you glance over. He's using a lighter to heat his barrel. Risky. Dumb. Desperate. The flare lights up his face. Hollow cheeks, red nose, 1,000-yard stare. You want to stop him. You don't. Because for 1 second he looks warm. Then the wind blows out the flame. Back to cold steel and colder air. You try your action again. Click. This time, it moves. Barely. You open the chamber, slam in a clip, let it bite. The ping echoes into the trees. You wince. That sound? Loud. Too loud. But also hopeful. Because maybe, just maybe, if the rifle still pings, you've still got a fighting chance. You close the chamber. Exhale. You grip the weapon with stiff, cracking fingers. It's ready. For now. You look at Dunlop. He nods, raises his own finally cleared. And for a moment, a very short, very fragile moment, you believe you might survive another day in Korea. Not because you're stronger, not because you're smarter, but because just this once your weapon decided to work in spite of the cold. You lean back against the rock and whisper like a prayer. Please, just don't jam again. And your rifle says nothing, because it doesn't care. It's not a friend. It's not an ally. It's a machine that barely functions in a war that barely makes sense. And if it freezes again tomorrow, that's your problem. You don't remember the exact moment it started. Frostbite doesn't announce itself. Doesn't kick down the door. It whispers. It creeps. It begins with numbness, the kind you ignore. Because everything is numb out here. Your fingers, your toes, your thoughts. So, when your left foot stops hurting, you think, finally, some relief. That's the trap. Frostbite feels better before it feels worse. You're crouched behind a tree watching the snow swirl in soft, lazy circles. You haven't moved in hours. Not because you're lazy, because moving hurts. And stillness is seductive. It tells you to stay right here, right now. Tells you that the fight can wait. Tells you it's okay to lean back, close your eyes, forget about the pain. And maybe, if it weren't for the numbness in your right hand, you would. You take your glove off. Bad idea. The air hits your fingers like a slap made of needles. They're pink. Too pink. Then pale. Then blue at the edges. You flex them. Nothing happens. You slap them against your thigh. Hard. Once. Twice. Again. Still nothing. You put the glove back on and pretend it helped. Next to you, Harris is unwrapping his boot. You wince. You sure? You ask. He doesn't answer. Just keeps peeling. Layer after layer. Wool, sock, fabric. A scrap of scarf he tied around the toes days ago. Then he sees it. And goes quiet. His big toe is purple. The nail is black. The skin around it blistered and dry like burnt leather. Frostbite. Stage 2, maybe 3. He doesn't scream. He doesn't curse. He just stares at it like it's something growing out of someone else. Gonna have to cut it, he whispers. You shake your head. You don't know that. He smiles, not the good kind. The smile of a guy who knows exactly how this ends. No colour means no blood. No blood means no rescue. He wraps it again. Tighter, like that'll change the facts. You don't tell him the truth. That cutting it off now won't stop what's coming. That the cold's already inside him. That it's just a matter of how many inches it takes before someone notices he can't walk. You look at your own foot. You want to check. You don't. Because if you pull that boot off and see what's waiting underneath, you'll never get it back on. And bare feet in this snow, might as well dig your grave. So you keep walking, half limping, half dragging. Every step is friction. Every toe is a maybe. You pass a guy from another squad. He's barefoot. You don't ask. His boots are gone, his legs wrapped in a blanket, his expression blank. You want to help, but you've got nothing to give. Not a spare sock, not a pair of dry laces. You move on. The medic tent, if you can call it that, is just a tarp strung between two stumps. No heat, no supplies. Just a kid with trembling hands and a hacksaw. He's wrapping something in gauze. Not sterilised, just wrapped. The smell hits you before you get close rotting flesh and iodine. Someone groans, someone else is silent. You don't look down. You don't want to see what used to be someone's foot. You leave, because the truth is worse than the wound. The truth is this. You're slowly, painfully becoming part of the landscape. Your body is freezing in real time. Not all at once. Piece by piece. Your ear tips feel hot, that's frostnip, the early warning. Your left index finger has stopped responding. Your knee crackles when you bend it. Your boots are no longer boots. They're little coffins. And inside them, 10 fingers. You just don't know how many still belong to you. You sit on a rock and try to wiggle your toes. You feel something, kind of. You think that's a win. Then the wind shifts. It howls through the valley like something primal. Something ancient. Like the earth itself is warning you to stop. You pull your scarf tighter. It's frozen in 3 spots. Cracks when you move. You want to cry, but your tear ducts are dry. The wind stole the moisture days ago. So you just sit there, blinking, blinking, blinking. Someone walks past, limping badly. You catch a glimpse, his boot is duct taped to his calf. No laces, no sole, just hope and adhesive. You look down at your own feet. Your laces are crusted with snowmelt. Your socks are a frozen second skin. And deep down, beneath the layers, beneath the lies you keep telling yourself, you know, it's already started. The frostbite isn't coming. It's here, right now, in your toes, in your hands, in the parts of you that used to be warm. And the worst part? You still have to march. You thought you understood wind. Back home, wind was an inconvenience. It messed up your hair, slammed doors, carried the smell of rain before a storm. Out here, wind is a predator. It doesn't blow, it shreds. It doesn't pass, it penetrates. You're halfway up a ridgeline now. Frost creeping up your sleeves. Your scarf is frozen to your neck. The snow comes at you sideways. And the wind? It finds every gap in your uniform, every loose button, every tiny opening, every broken seam, and cuts inside you. Your coat's wool, heavy, issued, supposed to help. It doesn't. It's soaked. Your sweat froze 3 hours ago. Now it's turning your uniform into a cryogenic coffin. The wind hits your back like a wall. You stagger. Drop to one knee. Breathe through clenched teeth. You try to speak. Your lips numb. Your jaw doesn't work right anymore. You try to curse. It comes out as a slur. You laugh. Kind of. Dunlop trudges beside you. He's got icicles on his eyebrows. His breath comes in shallow gasps, more steam than air. Feels like January's trying to kill us, he mutters. You nod. Only because it takes less effort than words. The sergeant's yelling up ahead. Wind steals the sound right out of his mouth. You can see his lips moving. You can't hear a damn thing. You stumble forward. Step. Drag. Step. Drag. The snow's not deep just enough to trip you when you're not looking. The wind is louder than the rifles now, louder than the trees creaking. louder than the voice in your head begging for this to stop. You try to zip your coat higher. The zipper's stuck, frozen in place. You don't try again. You don't have the dexterity to waste. The guy behind you slips, face plants into the snow, doesn't move. You turn. His arms are shaking, trying to push himself up. You grab him, pull. Your gloves stick to his jacket. You hear the fabric tear. He gets to his feet. Nods. No thanks. Just survival. You keep moving. You reach the crest of the ridge. It's wide open up here. No trees, no rocks, no shelter. Just a field of snow that stretches forever, flat, blank, merciless. The wind owns this place. It howls across the plain like a banshee. Grabs your helmet and tilts it sideways. Sneaks down your collar like fingers dipped in ice water. It hits your ears so hard they sting. Then burn. Then go silent. You try to cover them. Your gloves are too stiff. You press your palms against the sides of your head. They don't help. The wind laughs. And it keeps coming. Every gust is a slap. Every howl is a threat. Every second is another test you didn't study for. The medic warned you this might happen windburn. He said it like it was sunburn's mean older brother. He didn't say it would feel like your skin is peeling off in real time. You wipe your nose. Your hand comes back red. Not blood. Not entirely. Just a mix of burst capillaries and regret. You start shivering again. Not the small, manageable kind. The full-body tremor that rattles your spine and knocks your teeth together like marbles in a jar. You want to stop. You want to lie down. Just for a minute, just to rest. But lying down in wind like this? That's suicide. The cold will crawl into your lungs. It'll wrap around your heart. And you'll fall asleep faster than you think. Forever. So you keep going. You pass a body, face down, covered in snow. The wind's already working on it, stripping the scarf off, pulling at the coat flaps, biting through the cloth like it's cotton candy. The face is gone. Not from bullets. From exposure. That's the word they use when the wind wins. Exposed. Like a mistake. Like a secret. You trudge past without stopping. Because that's what you've learned out here. Wind doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care about rank, or bravery, or plans. It takes what it wants. Starts with heat, then takes sensation, then memory, then you, and when it's done, there's nothing left but a frozen shell and a name scratched on a roster that no one will ever read again. The sergeant waves you forward. You crouch behind a low snowbank, not cover, but a pause. You look around. Everyone's hunched, pale, shivering. No one speaks. The wind howls like it's mocking you. And in that moment, you finally understand. This war doesn't have to shoot you to kill you. Sometimes, it just has to blow hard enough. You dig because you have to. Because orders said defensive position. Because the sergeant said make cover. Because standing still in this wind is a death sentence with a slow signature. So now, you're up to your elbows in frozen dirt. Your entrenching tool is a joke, the blade's bent, the handle's cracked. You have to stomp on it just to break ground. The soil isn't dirt. It's permafrost. Ice-laced gravel that laughs at your effort. Every scrape of the shovel sends pain shooting through your wrists. Every scoop makes you want to scream. You don't. You haven't screamed since last week. It takes too much energy. You just grit your teeth and keep going. Because the only thing worse than digging a foxhole, not digging one, Dunlop's next to you. He's already given up on technique. Just scooping with his hands, now clawing like a dog burying a bone. His gloves are torn. His fingers are bleeding. He doesn't care. You think it'll matter, he mumbles. You pause. Look at the hole you've made 2 feet deep, barely wide enough to curl into. Will it stop a bullet? No. Will it stop the wind? No. Will it save your life? Probably not. But it's something. And something is the most you can hope for out here. You don't answer him, because if you do, the illusion might die. So you just say, keep digging. He does. You reach a tree root, too thick to cut, too low to work around. You sit back, wipe your face. The sweat freezes before it hits your chin. Your hole is barely functional, won't stop shrapnel, won't stop a mortar. Might slow down a sniper round if it hits the dirt first. But it's deep enough to lie in, to disappear into. And that's all you're asking for tonight. You crawl into it. Press your body into the walls. The cold seeps in through your coat, your skin, your bones. But it's shelter. Barely. Your rifle lies across your chest. Your eyes scan the tree line. Your brain refuses to rest. Because foxholes don't feel like protection out here. They feel like graves you haven't filled in yet. Somewhere behind you, someone laughs. Not the good kind. The kind that cracks and shatters halfway through. The kind that says, this is all insane, and I know it, and I can't stop it, and I'm going to die laughing if I don't die screaming first. You look around. Another guy, fresh boots, fresh face, is stacking snow around his foxhole like it's going to turn into a bunker if he wishes hard enough. He's humming. That's worse than the laughter, because humming means he's trying to pretend this is normal. And out here, pretending gets you killed. You shift your weight. A sharp pain shoots through your hip. Muscles probably locked up. You've been crouching too long. Or maybe it's just the cold winning another inch. You pull your scarf up. Doesn't help. Just traps the fog of your breath inside where it condenses into wet frost on your lips. You try not to think about what'll happen if this foxhole fills with snow overnight. You try not to think about what happened to the last squad that dug in too close to the tree line. You try not to think about the hole next to yours, the one where Harris used to be. He left on patrol 3 days ago. Didn't come back. His foxhole is still there, empty, untouched, like the ground is just waiting for him to return, or someone else to fill the space. You close your eyes for a second, just one, long enough to remember warmth, a fireplace, a couch, the sound of a fridge opening somewhere in the background. You open them again. Snow, grey, your rifle. The wind whispering promises it always keeps. You grip your weapon tighter. Because if the Chinese come tonight, and they might, you'll be firing from a half-finished hole with a half-frozen gun and half-dead hands. And that's if you wake up in time. You pull your pack over you. Not for comfort, for insulation. You cover your legs, your chest. Leave your arms out, you'll need them if something moves. This isn't a bed, it's a foxhole. And foxholes aren't for sleeping. They're for dying slower. You glance at the guy 2 holes over. He's curled up, face hidden. Is he asleep? Or just giving up? You don't ask. You don't want the answer. You just lie there, staring at the lip of the ridge, waiting for movement, for gunfire, for anything other than silence. And that's when you realise it. This foxhole, it's not keeping you alive. It's just delaying the moment when you stop pretending you can be. You didn't notice it at first. There were bigger problems. Frostbite, mortars, sleep, the wind that makes your ears bleed. You were busy not dying. But now, it's been, what, 2 days? 3? You can't remember the last time you ate something warm, or real, or enough. You reach into your pack, pull out a ration tin. It's dented, half frozen, covered in dirt. You open it with your knife. The lid creaks. Inside, meat. Sort of. It's brown, grey, smells like wet socks and despair. You stare at it. You're not even disgusted anymore. You're past that. You're hungry. You eat with your gloves on because if you take them off, you'll lose a finger. You chew with your mouth closed to keep the cold out. The meat is dry, then mushy, then gone. It doesn't help. Your stomach groans like it just remembered it exists. You finish the tin. Then you lick the inside. Every corner, every spot, every cold glob of grease stuck to the edge. Then you lick your gloves. You don't care anymore. The cold took your shame days ago. You lean back against your pack, and it hits you. That ache. Not pain, not quite. Just an emptiness that reaches up from your gut and pulls at your ribs. Your body is starting to feed on itself. It's pulling calories from muscle, from fat, from anything it can find. You've lost weight. You can feel it. Your belt doesn't fit the same. Your jacket sags. Your cheeks are sharp. Your bones creak when you sit. And there's no resupply coming. Not for another day, maybe 2, maybe ever. The supply trucks don't make it out this far anymore. The roads are too icy. The Chinese are too close. So you eat what you have, or what you can find. Yesterday you split a chocolate bar with Dunlop. 1 square each, he cried. Not because it was good, because it tasted like something like... He said it reminded him of Christmas, of his sister sneaking extras under the tree, of warmth and full stomachs and seconds. You didn't say anything. You just chewed and let him have the memory. Now, you'd kill for a slice of bread. Just bread, not toasted, not buttered. Just food. You remember food like it was a dream. A burger, hot, dripping. A plate of scrambled eggs. A bowl of stew so thick your spoon stands up. You would trade your boots for stew right now. Hell, you'd trade your rifle. You hear a rustle beside you. Dunlop's eating too. Crackers. Saltine fragments. He's chewing like each bite is a secret. You reach into your pocket. Pull out the last thing you've got. A sugar cube. You stare at it. Hard, white, rough at the edges. You pop it into your mouth. It's gone in seconds. But your body lights up like you swallowed fire. It's not much. But it's something. And something is more than most people have out here. You close your eyes for a second. Let the sweetness coat your throat. Then it's gone. Just like that. You're still hungry? You always will be. The lieutenant walks by. He's chewing gum. Gum. You'd kill for gum. He says something about holding the line. About staying sharp. About staying alert. No one responds. You don't have the energy to salute anymore. Or nod. Or pretend like food is less important than his briefing. You just sit there, stomach hollow, eyes blurry, rifle across your lap like dead weight. You look at the guy next to you. He's passed out, mouth open, flies buzzing around his lips. You nudge him. He doesn't move. You check for breath. It's there. Just barely. He's sleeping off starvation. If you don't get food soon, he won't wake up. You move on. Back to your foxhole. Your fingers twitch. Your knees buckle when you crouch. Your vision goes grey for half a second when you stand again. Your body's trying to tell you something. You're running out of fuel. Fast. And when the body runs out of fuel, it shuts down. Not all at once. just piece by piece. You won't collapse in glory. You'll just stop lifting your feet, stop blinking, stop remembering why you're supposed to keep going, until the snow covers you and someone else takes your place. You curl up tighter, try to breathe. Try not to think about food. Try not to think about dying for lack of breakfast. You think war ends with a bullet. You're wrong. Out here, the worst way to die is slow. And right now, you're starving. The first shot doesn't sound like a shot. It's muffled like someone slamming a door far away. You barely register it. You blink, look around. Snow drifts, trees sway. Nothing obvious. Then the second shot comes, closer, sharper. Then a third, a fourth. You freeze. Dunlop doesn't. He's already down, rifle up, breath short, eyes scanning the ridge. You follow, back into the foxhole, chest to dirt, muzzle over the edge. The snow is too bright, too still, like it's hiding something. And it is. Movement maybe 80 yards out. Figures, blurred. Dark shapes shifting through the white, low and quick. Chinese patrol. You count 5, no 6. Carbines, long coats, moving like they belong to the forest. They don't see you yet. But they're not supposed to. That's how they fight. Quiet. Clever. Every firefight starts with a whisper and ends in screaming. You flick the safety off. Try to control your breathing. Your finger's on the trigger, but your glove is stiff. Your finger won't bend all the way. You switch hands, flex your wrist. Too late. The shot goes off. Not yours, someone else's, from the right flank. Then the valley lights up. Crack dot crack dot crack. Return fire. Snow explodes. Bark shatters. A bullet kicks up dirt inches from your cheek. You duck. Dunlop fires twice. You hear him cursing. Damn bolt froze again. You lift your head just enough to see over the lip. One of the shapes drops. Hard. Flat. No scream. Another runs. You fire. Miss. You breathe. Fire again. This time you see him jerk, stagger, disappear into the trees. Did you hit him? Doesn't matter. You're already ducking again. Bullets zip past like angry wasps. One slaps into the tree behind you and splits the trunk. You feel the bark hit your helmet. You roll. New position. Try to clear your rifle again. The bolt jams. You use your boot, slam it loose. The cold doesn't just freeze fingers, it kills rhythm. You don't fight with flow here. You fight in fits and stops, in angry, jittery bursts. The grenade goes off up the line. Close, maybe 30 yards. You feel the shock more than you hear it. Snow rains down from the trees. Your ears ring. You lift your head. They're flanking. 2 of them crawling low, moving around the ridge to your left. You shout. No one hears. You fire. One goes down. The other vanishes. You don't follow. Too risky. You stay down. Wait. Silence. Then one more shot, single, clean, almost casual. And then it stops. All of it. You blink. Like waking from a nightmare you were wide awake for. The air is still. Smoke curls from the tree line. Steam rises from the rifle in your hands. You breathe. Realize you're panting. Your fingers are bleeding from the trigger maybe. Or from slamming the bolt open too hard. Doesn't matter. You're alive. You look at Dunlop. He's alive too, barely. Face pale, hand shaking. He's staring at something. You follow his eyes. It's one of them. Lying in the snow, half covered by a drift. Young, maybe 16. Face frozen in surprise. You crawl out of the foxhole. Walk up to the body. The snow is red, not much, just enough. His rifle is still clutched tight. Fingers curled around it like he thought he had time to shoot back. You kneel, not out of respect. Out of curiosity. He's wearing cloth shoes, no insulation, thin gloves, bare hands. And still he charged. Still he came through the snow like he wasn't afraid. Or maybe he was. And he did it anyway. You stand up. Walk back to the line. The lieutenant's checking positions. One guy's hit shoulder wound. Clean. He'll live. 3 Chinese dead. 2 maybe still out there. No one's cheering. This isn't a victory. It's a delay. The snow line is quiet again. But it's the kind of quiet that hums. Like the mountains are holding their breath. Like the trees are watching. You sit. Check your magazine. 4 rounds left. You look up at the sky. Grey. Flat. Wide open. You close your eyes. And think the thought every man out here has at least once a day. What happens when I run out of bullets before they run out of bodies? They told you the enemy wore a uniform. That he marched in lines, carried a rifle. That he shot at you from across a battlefield. But no one told you about this enemy. No face, no flag, no language. Just air. And cold. And time. You're crouched beside a fallen log, scanning the hills. No movement. No sound. Just wind sweeping down the slope like it's hunting. And it is. The weather isn't background noise anymore. It's the main threat. The snow comes at you sideways. The wind chews through your jacket. Every flake that lands on your cheek feels like a needle. You try to breathe slow. But even the air betrays you. It burns going in, scrapes on the way out. You shift your weight. Your knees crack. Not from motion from cold, it's in your bones now. Deep. Rooted. Like it moved in and started redecorating. You glance at your gloves. Stiff. Curled. They stopped keeping you warm a long time ago. Now they're just a reminder that you used to have circulation. You pull one off. Just for a second. And what you see makes your stomach twist. Your fingertips are the colour of ash. Flesh that looks more like candle wax. Nails black at the edges. You press your thumb into your palm. Wait for colour to return. Nothing. You flex. Pain shoots up your arm. A sharp reminder that something still hurts, which somehow is good news. You shove glove back on. Swear quietly. Dunlop doesn't even notice. He's staring at the sky like it owes him something. We fought people, he says. Back in France, even in Okinawa. But here, he trails off. Because we all know what he's about to say. Here, you fight the atmosphere. You lose the battle every night. And still, somehow, you're expected to show up again the next day. You check the guy on your left. Passed out in his foxhole. Covered in a poncho. Boots out in the open. You want to yell at him. Tell him to cover up. Move. Stay alert. But his breath is slow. Too slow. You nudge him. He twitches. Doesn't wake. Frost on his eyelashes. Ice under his nose. You've seen this before. If he doesn't get up soon, the snow will finish what fatigue started. You look away. The wind picks up again. Harder this time, more vicious. Your scarf lifts off your collar. The exposed skin screams. The air is dry, but it feels wet. Every gust slides under your uniform like a blade. You duck, but there's no shelter, no wall, no warmth. Not here, not now. The weather doesn't care if you're ready. Doesn't care if you're a good soldier. Doesn't care if you've had enough. It just keeps going. You remember the story of the guys at Chosen, how they froze solid in their sleep, how medics found them sitting up, rifles in their laps, eyes open, dead for hours. But the cold kept them upright, like statues, like warnings. You thought it was a myth, something to scare the new guys. But now, you believe every word. You feel it crawling into your boots, up your spine, behind your eyes. You aren't even shivering anymore. That's the part that scares you. You want to shiver. Because when you stop shivering, that's when the cold starts winning for real. Your teeth haven't chattered in an hour. Your jaw is too stiff. Your lips are cracked. You bite one just to feel anything. It bleeds. You smile. Stupid, but necessary. Dunlop's coughing. Not a regular cough. Deep, wet, hollow. That's not frostbite. That's something else. His face is pale. He's sweating in the cold. Not a good sign. You slide closer. You good? He doesn't answer. You don't press. Because what can you do? No medic. No tent. No medicine. Just snow and wind and hope. And the weather is burning that hope down by the hour. You curl up tighter. Your body folds into itself like it's trying to protect the last bit of warmth hiding behind your lungs. You rub your chest. Try to think of fire. But it's been weeks since you've seen one. No open flames out here, too risky, too visible. So all you get is memory. You remember a fireplace. At someone's house. You can't remember who. Just the crackle. The smell of wood. The way the heat felt. And then poof. Gone. All replaced by this. This wind. This war. This weather that takes more from you than bullets ever could. Because the bullets might miss. But the cold never does. You're not sure when night officially started. There's no clock, no bugle, no line in the sky where light becomes dark. It just happens, slow, creeping in through the trees, one shadow at a time. And now it's here, full and thick and endless. You're on watch, midnight shift, second rotation, or maybe third. It doesn't matter. You haven't slept. No one has. You're curled in your foxhole, rifle across your knees, eyes fixed on nothing. The darkness is so complete it's like the world ended and no one told you. No moon, no stars, just black. You listen. To wind, to branches cracking, to the long quiet breath of the guy next to you who gave up trying to stay awake. And your job? Stay alert. Because this is when they come. When they crawl on their bellies through the snow. When they wait behind trees and use the silence like a weapon. You blink. Too long. You jerk upright. Almost nodded off again. You slap yourself. Hard. Twice. The pain is dull. Not sharp like it should be. That's how tired you are. That's how gone your body is. Your hands don't feel like hands. They're stiff, curled claws wrapped in frostbitten wool. Your trigger finger is numb. You shift your weight. Everything hurts. Back, hips, knees. But the worst pain? The one you don't feel at all. Behind your eyes. In your thoughts. Where the cold and the fatigue have gnawed a hole through your ability to think straight. You hear something. Not loud. Just different. A footstep. You freeze. Lean forward. Finger on the trigger. Breathing shallow. Nothing. Just wind. Just your heartbeat pounding in your ears. You whisper a prayer. Not because you're religious. Because silence feels wrong now. You check your watch. Dead. The face is frosted over. Stopped at 21:14. Hours ago. You listen again. Still nothing. You take a breath. It fogs in front of you, then freezes. You feel it land on your upper lip and stick. You shift. Look over the foxhole wall. Nothing. Black trees, black snow, black thoughts. You remember when night meant sleep. Now it means countdown. To daylight. To movement. To maybe not dying this time. You fight the urge to close your eyes. You start counting. Not sheep, not seconds, trees. Just to do something. 1, 2, 3. You get to 11 before you lose count. Your vision blurs. You rub your eyes. Hard. They burn. Not from tears, you haven't had the moisture for that in days. You think about Dunlop. He's in the hole next to yours. Passed out cold. Mouth open. Steam curling out of his jacket. He snores once. Then stillness. You lean toward him. Hey. Nothing. Dunlop. Still nothing. You pick up a snowball, lob it gently. Hits his arm. He jerks, gasps, coughs. Alive. You nod. It's a sick little ritual now. Checking if your friends are still breathing. You're halfway through, forming another snowball when the flare goes up. Bright. Green. Too close. Everything lights up like a flashbulb. You flinch. Duck. The trees glow. The snow glows. You glow. A shape moves out there. You raise your rifle. Finger stings against the metal. Then it's gone. Darkness again. You wait. Nothing. False alarm? Or a probe? You don't know. You don't ask. Because asking leads to thinking. Thinking leads to feeling. Feeling leads to panic. And panic gets people killed. You adjust your grip. The rifle's heavy. Heavier than usual. Or maybe you're just lighter. You lean back. The stars come out. Faint. Blurred. Too high to help. Too far to care. You count them anyway. Just to keep your mind from slipping. Just to prove to yourself that your brain hasn't frozen yet. Then, noise. Closer. You hold your breath. Footsteps. A branch snaps. You raise your rifle again. Sight into the black. Nothing. Could have been an animal. Could have been an ambush. Could have been your imagination starving for stimulation. You don't fire. Not yet. You just wait. And shake. And feel the wind bite at your ears again. You close your eyes for half a second. Not even a blink. Just a long pause. And suddenly, the war's gone. You're on a porch. Summer night. Sweat on your neck. Cicadas in the trees. You smell barbecue. Hear a screen door creak. Someone laughing. Then snap. Back in the foxhole. Rifle up. Breath held. Nothing. It wasn't a memory. It was a dream sneaking in while you weren't looking. And that's how it happens. That's how the night takes you. Not all at once. Just one breath at a time. One hallucination. 1 second too long with your eyes closed. Until you forget why you're even holding a rifle. Until the difference between sleep and death becomes a matter of degrees. You check the horizon again. Still black. Still nowhere near morning. And so you sit. Eyes open. Mind numb. Body failing. Because you're not watching for the enemy anymore. You're watching for yourself. For the version of you that wants to close your eyes and never open them again. You don't notice him at first. He's just there, lying at the base of a pine tree, face down, arms out, one boot off, one glove missing, rifle nowhere in sight. You almost step on him, not because you're careless, because the snow hid him. It's what the snow does out here. It swallows things. People, memories, evidence. You crouch, roll him slightly. He's frozen stiff, eyes open, mouth too. Like he was trying to say something right before the cold pulled the words out of his throat and took the rest with it. You check the patch on his coat. American. Infantry. Your division. You check his chest. No bullet hole. No blood. You check his hands. Frostbitten to the bone. So, this wasn't combat. This was the weather. This was fatigue. This was the snow. You whisper, Jesus. Not loud, just enough for someone who can't hear you. Dunlop walks up beside you. He doesn't ask who it is. Just kneels, pulls the man's tags, reads the name. Martinez, he says. You nod. Don't know him. But you do now. You help Dunlop shift the body out from the tree. The legs are stiff, won't bend. You hear a crack. Bone, maybe. Or frozen gear. Either way, it doesn't matter. Martinez is past pain now. You dig. Only a little. You don't have the time or the strength to go deep. You cover him in snow. Not for respect. Not for ritual. For protection. If you leave him exposed, the foxes will come. Or the rats. Or worse, he'll freeze in the open and get mistaken for a live soldier by some rookie in the dark. So you bury him. Soft, quiet, cold. The snow collapses over him like a blanket that never warms. When you're done, there's no marker. Just a lump. A silence. A space. Later, someone will come back with a team and a roster and a truck. Maybe. More likely. The snow will do what it always does. Take him in. Erase him. Turn his shape into nothing. You walk away. Don't say a prayer. Don't salute. Just walk. You pass another spot, a depression in the snow. No body. Just an imprint. A smear of red at the edge. Someone died there too. Then got pulled. Maybe for warmth. Maybe for loot. Maybe just to clear the line. Either way, the snow kept the outline. Like a signature. You move on. There's a frozen hand sticking up from another drift. Grey. Fingers curled. Skin tight like paper. You don't stop. You've seen too many hands this week. Dunlop says something behind you. Cold burials. You nod. He keeps going. Talking like he's reading from a book no one wants to hear. You know, back in World War I, they buried guys in the mud. Left them where they fell. Said it was too dangerous to recover bodies. Whole platoons just part of the dirt now. You grunt, because that's all this is now. One long stretch of snow-covered earth, full of things that used to breathe. No funerals, no flags, no folded triangles sent to grieving mothers, just snow and silence. And soldiers who vanish while nobody's looking. You reach camp. Someone's wrapped in a tarp, tied at the corners, waiting for extraction. You don't ask who. There's no room for grief out here. No time. The body will wait. The war won't. You go back to your foxhole. Sit. Try to sleep. But the snow is falling again. And it whispers things now. It whispers that you might be next. Not because you did anything wrong. Not because you fought badly. Just because the cold doesn't care. The snow doesn't choose. It just takes. And when it does, you'll lie down in the white. You'll close your eyes. And someone else will find you. Face up. Or down. Or not at all. Maybe they'll bury you. Maybe they'll leave you. Maybe you'll disappear so completely. The only proof you existed will be in someone else's memory. That gets quieter every day. The snow doesn't need tombstones. It makes its own. You've learned to fear the quiet. At first it was a relief. A break from gunfire. From screaming. From orders barked across frozen air. But not anymore. Not here. Not in the Korean winter. Now? Silence means something is coming. It's just past 4 a.m. That dead zone of the night when the cold is worst and time doesn't move. When the stars look like they're frozen in place and the frost in your breath feels heavier than your rifle. You're on the line, flat on your stomach, eyes locked on the tree line 150 yards out, and everything is still. No wind, no birds, not even your own men whispering anymore. Just the sound of your heartbeat pounding in your ears like it's trying to warn you. You whisper, "Something's wrong." Dunlop's next to you. Silent. He doesn't argue. Because he feels it too. The trees haven't moved in 10 minutes. Even the snow stopped falling. Like the whole forest is holding its breath. You squint. Night vision's wrecked. Too dark to see. Too light to feel safe. Just endless black shapes. Some are trees. Some, maybe not. Your rifle is in your hands. The bolt already loose, already warmed. You learned your lesson last time. Your finger is curled, not resting. You're ready. But ready doesn't mean prepared. Because out here, they don't charge with bugles or boots or battle cries. They come like shadows. Low, silent. Thousands of them. Crawling through the snow with bayonets in their teeth. You think back to last week. The last time the line went quiet like this. It started the same way, silence so loud it rang in your ears. Then whistles. Then footsteps. Then the night exploded. It was chaos. Bayonets in the dark. Grenades landing without warning. Guys firing at shapes they couldn't identify. You watched a kid stab a tree trunk 6 times before realizing it wasn't moving. You saw another guy fire into a drift and hit a friendly underneath it. No time to think. No time to aim. Just react. Now! You're waiting for that chaos to start again. But nothing happens. No shot. No shout. Just stillness so deep you start to wonder if you've gone deaf. You shift your weight. The snow beneath you crackles. You freeze. Then you hear it. Not loud. Not close. But there. A thud. Then another. Soft. Like someone walking with care. You turn your head. Dunlop's already looking at you. Eyes wide. No words. Just the agreement they're coming. You scan again. Still nothing you can see. But that's the trick. They don't come where you're looking. They come where you aren't. You flick your safety off. Whisper to yourself. Wait for it. A shadow moves. Faint. Right at the edge of the trees. Gone again. You raise your rifle. Aim. Don't shoot. You wait. That's what they want for you to panic. Fire too early. Reveal your position. Spend your magazine before they even get close. Another shadow. Left side. Too many of them now. Too coordinated. This is it. You breathe slow. Grip tight. Dunlop's knuckles are white. You mouth the words, "Ready?" He nods. Then, suddenly, nothing. No more shapes. No footsteps. No sound. You blink. Are they pulling back? Or are they right here already? The kind of fear that creeps into your bloodstream kicks in. Not fight or flight. Freeze. You start shaking. Not from cold. From instinct. Because you know every second they wait, every second you hesitate, they're getting closer. Then it starts. Not a gunshot, not a whistle, a scream. High-pitched, foreign, furious. One voice. Then 10. Then 100. Then it's like the whole forest roars and you scream back. Not words, just sound. Because that's all this is now. Sound and motion and death. The muzzle flash lights up the snow. You fire. You fire again. You can't see what you're hitting. You're not aiming anymore. You're just surviving, Dunlop yells beside you. More fire from the ridge. Someone screams in English this time. A flare goes up. Green light floods the treetops. And that's when you see them, hundreds, pouring through the trees. Some running, some crawling, all of them screaming like demons let out of a cage. And you? You're in the front row. You fire. You reload. You scream again. Because when the silence breaks, it doesn't crack. It shatters. Your ears are ringing. Everything else is muffled. Muffled like your head's underwater. Muffled like the snow's trying to bury the sound along with your sanity. You don't stop firing. You can't. The trigger pulls back again. Click. Empty. You reload with hands that don't work right anymore. The clip jams. You curse. Smack the rifle against your helmet. It slides in. You slam the bolt. Ping. You fire again. But something's off. The recoil's wrong. Lighter. Weird. You check the chamber, steam curls out. But when you fire the next round, nothing. No sound. No bullet. Just a muted thump. And your blood goes cold. Because you know what that was. A squib. A bullet stuck in the barrel. And if you fire again without clearing it, your rifle becomes a pipe bomb. You yank it back. Eyes wide. You've got seconds to make a choice. You could try to fix it. You hear a scream. Close. Dunlop. He's down. Not dead. Not yet. But 3 enemy soldiers are rushing him fast, howling, weapons raised. You don't think. You act. You throw the rifle. Hard. At the closest one. It hits him in the shoulder. He stumbles. Buys you 2 seconds. You draw your sidearm. Your hand slips. Too slow. Too cold. You yank the slide. Fire once. Miss. Again. Hit. He drops. The others freeze. Long enough for Dunlop to roll. He fires from the ground. 2 shots. Both connect. They fall. You rush over. Grab him. He's bleeding. Shoulder. Arm. But conscious. Your rifle, he shouts. Barrel's blocked, you shout back. He stares. Then nods. Because that makes sense now. Nothing out here works right. Not your body. Not your boots. Not your weapon. You scan the ground. Find another M1 dropped in the snow. You pick it up. Check it. Not frozen. Yet. You slam a clip in, check the action, slap the side like you're waking it up. It breathes. You fire once solid recoil. You're back in it. Just in time. More figures. Too many. You fall into a rhythm. Breathe. Fire. Duck. Move. Fire. Reload. Your shoulder screams. Your elbows lock. You can't feel your legs anymore, but you can shoot. And so you do. Until the forest goes quiet again. Until the snow is still. Until the only sound is you gasping, wheezing, trying to count how many rounds you have left. You sit back, look at the rifle, the one that failed you, still lying there in the snow like it didn't almost kill you. You pick it up, look down the barrel, can't see light, blocked. You slam the buttstock against the tree, once, twice. A slug of frozen lead shoots out and lands with a soft plunk in the snow. You stare at it. Tiny. Stupid. Lethal. You wipe your face with a sleeve that's more ice than fabric. Then you whisper, "Not today," because that's what it came down to. Not accuracy. Not tactics. Just a clogged barrel. In the middle of a war, Unvustas, where everything breaks right when you need it most. You toss the slug into the trees and walk back toward what's left of your line and more. Galop's limping. He doesn't say anything. Neither do you. Because in a war this cold, this constant, this mechanical and insane, even your rifle gets tired. Even your bullets up. And all you can do is keep pulling the trigger and hope it still means something. The fighting's over. For now. The Chinese pulled back, or melted into the woods. No one's sure, no one's chasing. You're alive. So they hand you a new order. We move before sunrise. Of course you do. Because surviving the night doesn't mean you get to rest. It means you march, and not the proud kind. Not the drumbeat parade kind. Not the kind with medals and music and clean boots. This is the kind where your legs forget how to move. Where you use your rifle as a crutch. Where one foot drags and the other one bleeds. You start walking. Barely. The snow crunches under your boots sharp and slow like broken bones. You're not walking to anything. You're walking away from your last position. From the firefight. From the dead men you left behind without ceremony. You don't talk. No one does. Dunlop limps beside you. He's favouring his left leg. There's blood on his pants, frozen solid. No one asks if he's okay, because he's moving. That's all that matters. The line stretches ahead of you, silhouettes bobbing through the trees, hunched over. Pack heavy, mouths closed. This isn't a march. It's a procession of ghosts who forgot to die. You check your hands. Still there. Still numb. Your rifle is slung over your shoulder, bouncing with each step. You've stopped caring if the strap digs into your collarbone. That pain means you're awake. Your stomach growls. You ignore it. Your feet, that's a different story. They hurt, but it's not the sharp kind of hurt, the warning kind. It's dull, blunted. Like something underneath your skin is giving up piece by piece. You picture what they must look like. Wrinkled, purple, maybe black in places, toes swelling against each other, skin peeling like old bark. But you don't check, because stopping means freezing, and freezing means fall behind, and falling behind. No one waits for you. You reach a small rise. It looks like a mountain. You dig your heel into the snow, push upward. Legs shake. Chest burns. You curse gravity. Curse this war. Curse every inch of elevation that feels like it was designed to break you. At the top, more forest, more snow, more marching. You ask yourself the question you've been trying to bury since you woke up in this frozen hell. What's left of me? You used to have a name, a story, a favourite colour, a dream for after the war. Now, you have a number on a jacket, a rifle that jams, boots that bleed, a face no mirror has seen in weeks. You're just a body moving forward, a silhouette in someone else's war story. Your soul's back on that ridge with Martinez, with the boys who didn't get back up. with the men who froze where they stood and were mistaken for standing guards until morning. You keep going, because stopping isn't an option. The guy ahead of you collapses, flat on his face. 2 others help him up. He mutters something about his knees. They ignore it. He limps. You pass him without a word, because if it's not you, you keep moving. That's the rule. There's a stream ahead, half frozen, slushy at the edges. You step in it. The ice water rushes into your boots like it's been waiting. You curse again, but you keep moving, because wet feet hurt less than no feet. You reach the other side. More trees. Always more trees. And then you stop. Not because you want to, because you have to. The sergeant ahead throws up a hand. Silent halt. Everyone freezes. He's seen something. You drop to a knee. Back into it. Back to the waiting. You listen. Nothing. Just wind and breath. And the sound of your pulse screaming in your temples. Then the hand lowers. Keep marching. And that's it. No explanation. Just go. You rise again. One knee pops. Your back spasms. You breathe through it and keep moving. Because that's what you are now. Not a soldier. Not a man. Just momentum pushing forward. Frozen. Cracked. Carved down to nothing but instinct and pain. The march continues, and whatever's left of you is buried somewhere back there in the snow. You always thought officers lived different. War movies taught you that. Clean uniforms, dry gloves, better boots, warm tents, whiskey, maps lit by oil lanterns while they pointed at arrows and decided other men's fates. Out here, it's all bull. You see the lieutenant now, face lit by a match as he tries to light a cigarette with fingers that won't stop shaking. Same mud, same boots, same 1,000-yard stare. His coat's nicer, maybe 1 layer thicker, but that doesn't mean anything when the wind hits. It crawls under brass just as easy as it crawls under wool. He finally gets the cigarette lit. Takes a drag like it might be his last. Probably is for today. He only had 2 left yesterday. He doesn't say much anymore. None of them do. The lieutenants, the captains, they were loud at the start. Commanding, confident, throwing phrases around like strategic value and terrain advantage. Now, they mutter. 'Cause out here, rank doesn't stop the cold from chewing your ears off. You saw a major cry last week. Not loudly, not in front of everyone. Just off to the side. One hand on a radio that didn't work. Other hand on a casualty report with too many names. He wiped his eyes with the same sleeve he wiped blood off his boots with. He didn't say anything. He didn't notice you. That's the thing no one tells you about leadership in weather like this. You don't lead. You survive slightly more visibly than the others. The lieutenant squats near the fire, small, quiet, illegal after dark. Everyone pretends not to see it. Even HQ pretends. Because without it, he might not make it to the next order. You see his hands, black around the knuckles. Not gloves, just too many days touching too many things that suck heat out of your body and never give it back. He looks older now. When he first got here, he was a college kid. Shaved too much, shouted too loud. Now, he's just another guy trying not to die tonight. He catches you looking. Nods. That's it. No speech. No, carry on. Just nods. You nod back. Because what else is there? You've seen sergeants sob when no one's looking. Lieutenants mumble the names of the men they lost in their sleep. Captains limp from trench to trench. Not because of heroism, because no one else was left to check on the line. The chain of command? It still exists. But it's warped. bent by the cold, blown sideways by the wind. Frostbitten like everything else out here. The guys who shout the loudest, usually the warmest, or the newest. The ones who've been here, they whisper now. Not because they're weak, because they know how fast voices vanish in the snow. You remember a colonel who came through on inspection last week? Big guy, thick accent. Said he was just checking morale. Someone asked him if reinforcements were coming. He said soon, smiled like it was true. But his hands were shaking too. Not from cold, from fear. You saw it. Because you feel it too. Everyone does. Even the ones with the shiny pins and clean maps. Because when the bullets start flying, and the snow eats the road, and the radios go quiet, your rank can't keep you warm, and your bars won't stop a shell. You crawl back into your foxhole. Lieutenant's still by the fire. He stares into it like he's trying to see something that's not there. Maybe home. Maybe a reason. Maybe just heat. You lie down. Curl up. You hear him whisper, "Don't freeze, boys." Not an order. A wish. Because officers aren't untouchable out here. They're just as cold. Just as scared. Just as human. They just have to pretend they're not. You read the after-action reports once. Well, you saw one. A single-page summary, typed up. Clean margins, double-spaced. Signed by someone who was never there. Enemy repelled. Minor casualties. Morale intact. Position held. That's what they sent up the chain. But they left things out. A lot of things. They didn't mention the kid who froze to death with his eyes open, still holding his rifle, still on watch. They didn't mention how Dunlop coughed up blood and said nothing, because there were no replacements for the front line. They didn't mention the night you had to carry a guy's leg in a poncho because the rest of him was gone and his tags were in his boot. They didn't write about the rats, the way they moved under the snow, the way they got into corpses faster than the burial detail, the way they learned what a field dressing was and started chewing through wounded men to get to the gauze. They didn't report the smells either. You'd think in this cold there wouldn't be any, but somehow blood still stinks. So does fear. So does piss frozen into cloth. So does rot, even under layers of ice. The report didn't mention the guy who tried to desert. Didn't get far. Snow slowed him. He was caught. Not punished. Just ignored. Because no one had the time. Or the energy. Or the moral high ground. They also didn't write about what the cold does to your mind. How you start to forget things. Simple things. Your own voice. Your mother's name, the date. You knew it was December for a while, but now, could be January, could be yesterday, could be the day you die. No one's counting. They didn't type up the part where you hallucinated a warm kitchen and started crying because you thought you smelled onions cooking. They didn't log how many guys shot blindly into the dark, not because they saw anything, just because they were afraid not to. They didn't record the sound a man makes when he steps on a mine and doesn't die, not immediately. Just enough to scream, loud, until someone covers his mouth and tells him to stop wasting air. They didn't mention how the lieutenant broke. How he sat behind the ridge with his gloves off, holding a single bullet, staring at it like it had a voice. They didn't say who talked him down. Or if he really stayed down. The report didn't mention the letters. You've seen them. The ones guys write and don't send. Not yet. Because they're waiting to know if they'll live long enough to matter. You wrote one last week. To no one. Just words. You tucked it under your shirt. folded against your ribs, where it might survive longer than you do. They don't write about that. They also don't include the dreams, the kind where you hear your own voice begging to be anywhere else, where you smell bread, where you feel warmth just enough to trick you. Then you wake up with your teeth clenched so tight your jaw clicks for hours. That doesn't make the report. Neither does the frostbite. They might list it. Cold injuries, 12. But they don't explain what it means to watch your own skin turn black, to smell it dying, to wait for the corpsman to tell you if you're keeping your toes. They don't mention that he usually lies, just long enough to keep you walking. And if you can't walk, they don't carry you. You sit. You wait. You vanish. Just another man the snow takes without a fight. Position held. That's the line they always end with. Doesn't say how. Doesn't say what it cost. They don't write about the body bags left behind because they froze to the earth. Or the dog tags melted into burned out tanks. They don't write about what it does to a man to shoot at shadows every night for 2 weeks until he finally hits something and realizes it was a friend. They don't report the shame, the smell of it, the taste of it in your mouth when you can't remember who you were before this. They don't write about how you dig the same foxhole over and over again in different places, how each one feels like a practice grave, how you stop caring who sees you cry, how you start hoping for frostbite just so someone will evacuate you. They don't write about how you become something smaller than a man. They don't write about you at all. They don't tell you the name right away. Just that you're moving north, that the Chinese are near, that you'll link up with elements around the reservoir. Sounds routine, until you get there, and then you learn the name, Chosen. And you learn fast that Chosen doesn't care about your rank, your prayers, or your plans. You thought you knew cold. Not like this. This cold doesn't sting. It devours. 30 below, and that's before wind chill. Your breath freezes in midair. Your eyelids crunch when you blink. Your canteen's solid ice. Your food might as well chew bullets. The trucks stall every hour. Oil thickens. Tires lock. Engines die. The machine guns won't fire unless you hand warm the ammo belts. And the radios? They freeze too. So when the shooting starts, and it will, you're on your own. You and the cold. And the cold is winning. You're surrounded before you even know it. Tens of thousands of Chinese. You can't see them all, but you hear them. At night, whistles, drums, chanting, moving in like fog, and during the day, they're ghosts, popping up in waves, disappearing again before your fingers can find the trigger. The Marines say hold the line, but the line is collapsing. The road is cut. Supplies aren't coming. Evac is a rumour, and Chosen is tightening its grip. You dig a foxhole into permafrost so hard it breaks your shovel. You pile bodies around it. Not just for cover, for warmth. The medics run out of morphine, run out of bandages, run out of hope. So they start using torn shirts, bootlaces, whatever they can find. The cold makes the blood freeze in the wounds. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes it kills. You stop removing boots from the wounded. Because when you do, their feet come off with them. No one complains anymore. They just breathe. Slow, careful, like they're trying not to shatter. Chosen doesn't scream. It whispers. It waits. It tightens around you until you forget what day it is. Forget what pain used to feel like when it was survivable. You eat once a day, half a ration, frozen solid. You piss through a hole in your pants because dropping your fly means losing your skin. One night you wake up next to a man who's been dead for hours, still sitting up, still holding his rifle, eyes frozen open. No one moves him. He's guarding the line now, same as you, same as all of you. You hear rumours of retreat, but they don't call it that. They call it fighting withdrawal, because no one wants to say what it really is, running for your life. You start walking south. Convoys snake through mountain passes. Tanks lead, trucks follow. Wounded strapped to the hoods. The rear guard? That's you. The guys who fire back as the column slips away. And the Chinese don't stop. They hit from both sides. From the hills. From the snow. They know you're trying to escape. They just want to make you pay for it. You do. With your feet, your fingers, your friends. But you keep walking. Because Chosen doesn't want prisoners. It wants corpses. And you refuse to give it yours. So you march. Past blown out trucks. Past craters full of frozen limbs. Past foxholes filled with men who'll never leave this valley. Every step is a gamble. Every breath is pain. But you keep going. One hill at a time. One day at a time. Until the cold starts to loosen its grip. Until the road opens behind friendly lines. Until the worst part is behind you, at least on a map. But you don't celebrate. You don't cheer. Because what you left at Chosen didn't stay there. It followed you. In your bones. In your nightmares. In the silence between your thoughts. You survived. But something didn't. Something froze in that place, deep, quiet and permanent. And no fire's ever going to thaw it. You don't dream of rescue anymore. Not like you used to. You used to imagine trucks. Big ones. Rolling over the hills with headlights on and engines loud. Packed with food, blankets, ammo. But out here, you've learned to look up. Because if help's coming, it's coming from the sky. That's what they told you. That's what they keep telling you. Supplies incoming, airdrop scheduled, sit tight. So you sit tight. You and Dunlop and the rest of the guys in this frozen bowl of earth. Eyes on the sky, waiting for angels with parachutes. You imagine what might come down. Cans of soup still hot. Fresh socks. Dry gloves that don't feel like sandpaper against frostbitten skin. Even cigarettes. God, you'd kill for a real cigarette. Not one of the crumpled roll-your-owns someone pulled out of a boot. You hear it before you see it. Ruh. Engines. Low. Slow. Familiar. You scramble up from your foxhole, heart pounding. Others do the same, hand shielding eyes. You see it a C-119, tail heavy, belly fat with promise. It circles once. Low pass. You feel the rush before anything even drops. Everyone's on their feet now, grinning, pointing. Here we go. A couple guys start laughing. You haven't heard real laughter in days. Then the bay doors open. You hold your breath. Canvas bundles tumble out. Parachutes pop. They drift down like giant white flowers blooming in reverse. 1, 2, 5, 10. The guys cheer. Even Dunlop. A half-broken sound, but it counts. They hit the ground hard. Skid across the ice. You and a couple others run. Not because you are ordered to. Because you need to know. You reach the nearest bundle. Cut it open with your knife. Inside? Rations. Not hot, not fresh, but edible. You pass them back. Hands reach like they're starving dogs. Because they are. Another bundle ammo. Boxes soaked but salvageable. A third socks. Thick. Clean. Real wool. Someone starts crying. No one mocks him. Not today. Then you hear someone shout, "Hey, this one's water!" you rush over. And it is. Dozens of canteens. Frozen solid. Of course. Because nothing gets here fast enough to matter. But still it came. That's what matters. You grab what you can, lug it back, hand it out. The moment feels like a holiday, but it doesn't last. You look up again. The sky is empty now. Plane gone. Just a fading dot and a trail of engine smoke that gets eaten by the clouds. And suddenly you feel the silence return, louder than before. Because now you know it can be broken. You know that sound exists above this frozen world. You know help is possible, but also rare and late. And sometimes doesn't come at all. A few hours later the wind kicks up again. The fire someone started with a ration box dies. The cold creeps back in like it never left. Dunlop's already wearing his new socks. You are too. They help, but not enough. Because you can't drop hope in a crate. You can't airlift a reason to believe this war ends. Not out here. Someone opens the last ration tin. Hands shaking. Inside is stew. Lukewarm. Smells like dog food. You eat it anyway. Because it came from the sky. Because it's something. Then you look up again. Just in case. Because now you're not dreaming of home. Not dreaming of peace. You're dreaming of another drop. More socks. More stew. More proof that someone remembers you're out here. That someone somewhere still gives a damn. But the sky just stares back. Wide. Grey. Empty. And tomorrow? You'll look again. And maybe next time there's nothing. Maybe the plane doesn't come. Maybe the sky forgets. Because that's what war teaches you. Not to survive. But how to live with being forgotten from 10,000 feet. You sit in your foxhole, snow piling around your ankles, pen in one hand, scrap paper in the other, and you stare, not at the lines, not at the words. You stare at the space between them, because that's where the war lives now, in the gaps between what you can say and what you can't. You haven't written in days, maybe weeks, hard to tell. No calendar, no clock. Just dark and darker. The last letter you sent, censored, stripped down. Words peeled away until it looked like a shopping list scribbled in blood. Doing okay. Still with the unit. Cold, but spirits high. Lies. Necessary ones. You tried writing the truth once. Just once. Described a night patrol that went wrong. A buddy shot in the gut. Didn't die fast. You sat with him for 2 hours while he begged to be shot again. You held his hand, felt it go cold, watched his eyes freeze open. You wrote all of it, folded it, addressed it, didn't send it. Because how do you ask someone back home to read that? To know that? They don't want details. They want distance. They want to imagine you warm and fed, doing your part, not crawling through snow with your fingernails broken off from gripping your shovel too hard. So you write different things now. Safe things. You write about a dog someone saw near the ridge. You say it looked like the one from the neighbour's yard back home. You don't mention it was eating from a corpse. You write about Dunlop. Say he's funny. You don't say he hasn't spoken since the mortar shell hit last week. You mention the landscape, mountains, pines, beautiful in the frost. You don't say you buried a man beneath one of those pines yesterday. You fold the letter. Look at the address. Then you pause. Because sometimes even writing Dear Mum feels dishonest. She raised a boy. She doesn't know what this thing is now. This cold-eyed, trigger-twitching thing that used to be her son. You stare at the envelope, then slide it into your coat. Not sending it. Not today. Maybe later. Or maybe never. You look around. The guy next to you, Haskins, is doing the same thing, holding a pencil like it weighs 100 pounds. Looking at blank paper like it's judging him. You ask who he's writing. He says, "No one. Just a habit," he says, "to remember how to hold a pen." He hasn't mailed anything in 3 weeks. Some of the guys stop writing altogether. Others write obsessively. Every day. Multiple letters. Like if they send enough paper, someone will hear them. But the truth? You all know. Most of these letters don't make it out. The mailbags freeze. The routes get cut. The censors toss out what they don't like. And even if it does make it, even if your words land in a warm living room with a soft light on and a radio humming low, they won't understand. Not really. They'll read about snow and patrols and a buddy named Dunlop. They'll imagine campfires, bunk beds, snowball fights between good old boys in green. They won't see the frostbite, or the hallucinations, or the way your fingers go stiff in the middle of a sentence and you can't tell if it's the cold or just something inside you turning to ice. So you stop trying. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much, and you know that telling them the truth would break them too. You pull out your last stamp. Look at it. The edges are bent. The face worn. You think about using it, then don't. Instead, you write 3 words on the back of the letter. Still here, barely. You fold it. Slide it back into your coat. Next to the one from last week. Next to the one from last month. A whole archive of things too honest to send. You lean back against the dirt. Snow drifting in through the cracks. And you whisper, "If I make it out, I'll send them all." But you don't believe that. Not really. Because some stories only make sense in the cold. And some letters are meant to die where they were written. It doesn't happen all at once. Nobody pins a medal on you. Nobody makes a speech. Nobody says, "Congratulations, you're in charge now." No. It just starts. First time is small. You're sitting by the trench eating half-frozen rations when someone says, "What do we do if they hit us from the ridge?" You shrug. Then you answer. Simple, calm, like you're not still shaking from last night's barrage. Later, 2 guys follow you when you head out to scout a new foxhole position. They don't ask. They just do, like you've been doing this longer. Like you know more. You don't. But you say nothing. You check the angles. You make the call. It works. Then, Dunlop starts checking with you before he moves. Just a glance. Are you good with this? Kind. And you nod. And he trusts it. Next morning, your fire team's low on grenades. You trade with another squad. No order. No plan. You just walk over and fix it. And from then on, people look at you differently. Not like you're better. Like you're useful. Like you've got a map in your head they can't read. Even the lieutenant starts checking in with you before briefings. Not formally, just quiet, at the edge of the line. You think this'll hold? You lie. Yeah. Because that's the job now. Not leading charges. Not shouting orders. It's lying when you have to. To keep everyone from falling apart. You tell a guy his frostbite isn't that bad when you know his toes are already dead. You tell a rookie he did good after he cried during his first firefight. You hand out what little strength you have, like rations, knowing you won't get any of it back. Because that's what leadership is out here. It's not stripes on a sleeve. It's being the one who goes first into the darks and still comes back with your rifle loaded. It's knowing where the mines might be buried, not because someone told you, but because you remember the sound a footstep makes right before the earth opens up. It's watching the new guys break and not judging them. Just making sure they don't die in the next hour. You learn their names, not because you want to, because you have to. Because when someone screams for help at 3 a.m, you need to know if it's Harris, Franklin, or the quiet kid from Ohio who never says a word unless he's praying. You find yourself making lists, in your head. Who needs rest? Who hasn't eaten? Who's getting that far-off look, the one that usually comes right before someone walks into fire just to stop feeling cold? You start asking questions you never used to. You sleep at all? Still got your feet wrapped? You take that extra pair of socks, like I said? They nod, usually lie, and you pretend to believe them. Because that's the deal now. You pretend everything is going to be okay, and they pretend they believe you. It's not trust. Not really. It's need. They need you to be steady. So you are. Even when you're not. Even when you're 2 seconds from breaking and one bad night away from joining the frozen silence out in the trees. Even then you hold. You dig. You check the line. You wrap your scarf tight and make another round even though your knees scream with every step. You give your spare gloves to the kid who lost his. You give your only aspirin to the guy with fever chills. You give your calm to everyone else like it's the only thing you've got left to give. You never signed up to lead. You just didn't die. Didn't run. Didn't crack. And somehow, that's enough. So, when they look at you now, they don't see a hero. They see an anchor. And in this war, in this cold, in this place, that's the only kind of leader that matters. You didn't know most of their names at first. They were just bodies in line. Helmets too big, eyes too young, clean boots and clean smiles, joking about girls, about baseball, about getting home before Christmas. You called them by last names. Rodriguez, Temple, Banks, Rivers. Now, you still use those names, but they don't fit anymore. Because those kids, the ones who got off the trucks with letters in their pockets and hope in their chests, they're gone. They didn't all die, but they changed. The man Temple is now, he doesn't talk unless he has to. He walked hunched, like the weight of the rifle is welded to his spine. He hasn't written home in a month. Used to be funny, told jokes in the chow line. Now, he stares at the horizon like it's daring him to move. Rivers he used to draw. Had a little sketchbook he carried everywhere. Sketched snowbanks, guys sleeping, even drew you once when you were shaving with a dull blade. Now, he burned that book last week and didn't say why, just tossed it in the fire page by page and walked away. Said nothing. Drew nothing since. Then there's Banks, youngest of all of you. Talked like a preacher. Always had some quote. Kept a Bible in his chest pocket, over his heart. Kind of guy you'd bet would hold together longest. He cracked first. Not loud, not dramatic. Just stopped sleeping. Started mumbling at night. Then froze during a firefight. Stood there. Didn't fire. Didn't blink. Someone shoved him down just in time. After that, he followed orders, but slower, less sure. His hands always shook. Now he just stares at the sky, like he's waiting for something to fall out of it and end all this. The worst part? You get it. Because you change too. You used to think about home every day. What you'd do first. Who you'd see. What you'd eat. Where you'd go. Now, you can't remember your street name. You forget the colour of your front door. You dream about patrols. You dream about foxholes. You dream in black and white and blood. And when you look at your men, You don't see the boys who arrived. You see what the war made of them. Hard eyes, thin shoulders, movements like animals in a trap, quick, sharp, survival first. Even their voices changed. Quieter, more clipped, like words are too heavy now. But here's the thing no one tells you. Sometimes, that change goes the other way. Sometimes it makes them more than they were. Rodriguez used to be a coward. Admitted it. Said it during training. Said he'd freeze under fire. He didn't. He dragged 2 men back from a mortar blast last week. Didn't blink. Told no one. You saw it. He just wiped the blood off his jacket and sat down to eat like it was another chore. That's who he is now. Banks? Still broken. Still scared. But he gave his last pair of socks to a new guy with frostbite. No one asked him. Didn't even say anything. Just did it. Sometimes the men they became are harder, quieter, colder. But sometimes they're better than you thought possible. Built from pain. Built from exhaustion. Built from days that never end and nights that never sleep. These aren't the boys who got off the boat. These aren't the names you wrote down on your roster. These are survivors. Men who've stared death in the face so often they stopped blinking. Men who've lost pieces of themselves and filled the holes with steel and smoke and silence. And you're one of them. You were supposed to lead. But now, you're just trying to keep up. Because the men you knew, they're still out there buried somewhere under the snow, under the fear, under the before. And the men beside you now, they came out of fire. They came out of this. And they're not going back to who they were. None of you are. Because the war doesn't just change you. It decides who you get to be if you're lucky enough to make it that far. You don't cry anymore. You used to. Not often. Not in front of anyone. But it would hit you late at night after the shooting stopped, after the blood cooled. You'd look at your hands, or the body beside you, or the crater that used to be a man you just talked to, and the tears would come. Quiet. Private. Now, nothing. Not because it hurts less, because it doesn't hurt at all. You stopped feeling. It didn't happen overnight. It wasn't a switch. It was a slow freeze like everything else out here. You felt guilt first, then grief, then horror, then just tired, then nothing. Now when someone dies, you register it, mark the space, move on. You don't even bother to check for tags anymore unless someone tells you to. You still say their names, but only to the medics, to the officers, for the report, not for you. Because if you said them for yourself, you'd have to feel something, and you can't afford that anymore. Not out here. Out here, feelings get you killed. The kid who froze last week? He was kind. Tried to help everyone. Tried to keep people warm. Even gave up his own coat. You watched him go to sleep with a smile. He didn't wake up. They found him curled like a child, lips blue, eyes shut like he was dreaming about anywhere else. You didn't cry. You didn't say much. Just helped carry him to the others. Lined him up with the rest of the quiet. Then you went back to digging. Back to standing watch. Back to nothing. Because the thing no one tells you about war isn't just the dying. It's the emptying. You lose more than blood. You lose the part of you that reacts. The part that flinches. The part that feels anything other than the weight of your weapon and the ache in your spine. Dunlop doesn't talk anymore. Not unless it's necessary. He used to hum when he was nervous. Now there's just this dead quiet around him. He's still there. Still eats. Still shoots. But the humming's gone. Like whatever part of him held that small flame finally blew out. You think about what you used to feel. Joy, fear, guilt, laughter. It's like remembering another person's life. Now all you feel is hunger, cold, sleep deprivation. The rest? Gone. And in some dark part of you, you're glad. Because feeling nothing is easier than feeling this. You can stand over a dead man and not flinch. You can fire at silhouettes and not wonder who they were. You can listen to someone scream for their mother and not think about yours. You become efficient, reliable, numb. It's not something they train you for. It's something the cold teaches you. The snow, the silence. You've learned that survival isn't about being strong. It's about being empty enough to keep moving. The guys who still feel everything, they don't last. They crack. They run. Or they die holding on to something too human. But you let it all go. Piece by piece. Now the only thing inside you is momentum. You eat. You march. You aim. You shoot. You reload. You breathe. Barely. That's the rhythm now. That's the man you've become. Not broken. Just hollow. And maybe, just maybe, that's the only kind of man who can survive this war. You don't panic anymore. Even when the shelling starts. Even when the sky lights up orange and the ground kicks like a living thing under your feet. Even when they tell you this might be your last stand. You don't panic, because somewhere along the line, you started planning for your death. Not in a dramatic way. Not in some final speech, slow-motion glory halo kind of way. No. Quietly. Logically. Like packing for a long trip you know you're not coming back from. You think, if I go tonight, who finds me? You think, will they take the letter out of my jacket, the one I never finished? You think, I should keep my dog tags around my neck, not in my boot, just in case. You find yourself organising your gear differently. Not for convenience, for clarity. In case someone has to sort through it after you're gone. You wrap your photos in wax paper. You write your name on the inside of your coat. You carve your initials into the butt of your rifle. You don't talk about it. No one does. But you all know. Dunlop moved his cigarettes to his left chest pocket, said he didn't want them crushed if it happened fast. Rivers tore a corner off his Bible and wrote his sister's address on it. Folded it, stuck it in his sock. Temple cleaned his rifle like a man setting a table. Slow, deliberate. Not because he expected to fire it again, because he didn't want to leave it dirty. It's not defeat. It's preparation. You're not giving up. You're just acknowledging the odds. Because out here, in this cold, in this war, surrounded and outnumbered and forgotten by everyone but the men beside you, planning to live is a luxury. But planning to die, that's discipline. That's duty. That's practical. You start thinking about the small things. Who gets your spare gloves? Who should take your extra socks? Who's got the same boot size so your frostbitten boots don't go to waste? Even think about where you'd want it to happen. Not in the latrine. Not on your belly, crawling. Maybe in the trench. With your rifle up. Something simple, clean. Maybe you'll see it coming. Maybe not. But either way, you want it to mean something. That's the trick, isn't it? You're not scared of dying anymore. You're scared of dying for nothing. Of bleeding out for a hill that gets abandoned 2 days later. Of being listed as missing because the snow buried you before your body got tagged. Of being remembered as a number on a clipboard. You start rehearsing the last moments in your head. If you feel it coming, you'll breathe in. Close your eyes. Think of home. You tell yourself that. But deep down you know better. It won't be peaceful. It'll be fast, ugly, silent or screaming. You won't get a last word. You won't get music. You'll just be gone. And someone, if you're lucky, will remember how your rifle sounded. That's it. Still, keep planning, because it gives you control, because it feels like the one choice you still have left, because it's the only way to make sense of waking up every morning and wondering if today's the one. And maybe, just maybe, if you plan it hard enough, you'll survive out of spite. Just to prove the war wrong, you wake up, and it's a problem, because you weren't supposed to. You went to sleep last night, if that's what you want to call those 2 hours of half-frozen delirium ready. Everything was packed in your coat. Dog tags. That note you never mailed. Knife cleaned. Rifle within reach, even though the bolt was jammed from ice. You had written your name in the snow behind your foxhole, in case they found you face down. A dumb move. You did it anyway. And now, you're still breathing. That cruel little fact greets you like the dawn. You sit up slow. The frost cracks where your neck meets your collar. Your shoulder stings like someone took a torch to the bone. You look around. Dunlop's still there, snoring like gravel in a bucket. One hand on his chest, the other curled around the handle of a grenade like it's a teddy bear. You smile, then stop, because smiling takes energy you don't have. You scan the trench. Same guys, same postures, same silence. A couple of them are moving, a couple of them aren't. You don't check who's who right away. You can't, because you already made peace with dying. And now, you've got to make peace with not dying. And that's harder. Last night was supposed to be the end. The shelling started just after 2300. Loud, low, endless. Mortars from the ridge. Then small arms. Then voices. Not yours. Theirs. Chinese. Yelling. Chanting. And you were ready. You had your finger on the trigger for 40 minutes straight, and your breath came out in clouds so thick they felt like ghosts trying to leave your mouth early. You thought, this is it. You hoped it would be fast. You even leaned a little further out of the foxhole, just in case. A sniper could take you. Clean, simple, done. But the push never came. They shelled you, then stopped. Like a fist raised but never thrown. Some recon said they were repositioning. Others said they miscalculated. One guy swore he saw them pulling bodies out from a failed assault to the east. No one knows. No one cares. Because you're still here. And that's the issue. You weren't built for another morning. Your body aches in new ways, not like bruises or breaks. Deeper. Like your organs are sore from too much surviving. Your breath tastes metallic. Your teeth feel loose. Your boots are soaked and you're scared to look at your toes. Your gloves are frozen into shape. When you pull them off, your hands stay in the same curve like you're still holding your rifle. You think about dying again. Not as an escape, as a disappointment. Because now you have to go through it all again. Another patrol. Another bowl of cold soup. Another whispered count of who's still breathing. And somewhere inside a little voice says, you should have gone yesterday. You ignore it. You get up. Because that's what's expected. You're alive. That means you march. That means you carry. That means you kill again, if needed. The snow crunches as you step out of the hole. The sun's trying to rise. Just enough gold at the horizon to give you hope. And that hope, it hurts. Because it means you've still got something to lose. You join the others. form up. No one talks. They glance at you. They nod. Same nods you gave to the dead the day before. You check Dunlop. He's limping, but awake. His eyes look clearer than yesterday. That scares you, because clarity here usually comes before the fall. Guys get peaceful just before the end, like they've made their deal with it. He lights a cigarette, offers you one. You take it, because saying no would mean explaining something, and no one explains things anymore. You take the first drag and almost throw up. Your lungs aren't used to anything warm. You cough it out. Dunlop laughs soft, broken, but real. You don't laugh back, because laughter still feels like a betrayal. You keep walking. Someone to your left mutters a prayer. Another guy is crying without tears. Too cold for tears now, but you see it. The face, the twitch, the tiny noises in the throat. He's doing what you should be doing. You push on. You check your rifle. Wipe the bolt with a rag. Check your canteen still frozen. You write today's date in the margin of your notebook. Or what you think is the date. It's wrong. You don't care. It's yours. You start counting your steps again. You used to do it for sanity. Now it's just to pass the time between thoughts. You remember a woman's face. You don't know who. You remember a song, but only one line. You are my sunshine. The rest is gone. Like the warmth, like the years, like the part of you that used to make plans longer than 24 hours. And yet here you are, not dead, not whole, not happy, but here. And that counts. Even if it shouldn't. Even if every step forward feels like one more borrowed breath from a war that's already taken more than it gave. So you keep walking, because you didn't die last night, because maybe you die tonight, or tomorrow, or not at all. Maybe you survived this whole damn thing. And that thought, that terrifying, impossible thought, it flickers inside you like the tip of the cigarette you didn't finish. And for a second, just one, you let yourself wonder what comes after. Then the wind shifts. Cold punches through your jacket. You look ahead. The trail stretches forward. Endless. White. Empty. And you remember. You weren't supposed to wake up today, but you did. So now, you've got work to do. Mercy doesn't look like what you think it does. It's not soft. It's not gentle. It doesn't wear white gloves or carry a red cross. Out here, Mercy wears mud, bleeds, curses. Sometimes Mercy pulls a trigger. You remember the first time you saw it. It was after a minefield. 3 guys hit. The first one was gone instantly. Blown in half. No time for screaming, no time for anything. The second one? Lost both legs. Still conscious. He screamed for almost 5 minutes. Begging. Barking. Pleading like a man being eaten alive. No morphine. No callsman. You were pinned. Couldn't reach him. And then Carter. The quiet guy from Illinois crawled over, took his jacket off and put it over the kid's face. Sat with him. Held his hand. Waited until the screaming stopped. Not because the kid died naturally. Because Carter helped. Later, you asked him why. He said, because he asked me to. That was the first time you realized mercy wasn't something reserved for angels. Sometimes it's a dirty job in a freezing trench, done by someone whose soul is already halfway gone. Mercy in this war looks like sharing your last canteen, even though you know you'll need it later. It looks like taking boots off a corpse and putting them on a man who's still breathing. It looks like lying to a guy with a gut wound and telling him he'll make it back to the aid station even though you both know he won't. It's putting your hands on someone's shoulders and holding them down while their foot gets sawed off without anaesthetic. It's staying awake all night on watch so a younger guy can sleep without shaking. It's wrapping a picture of someone's daughter in plastic and putting it in their pocket before the burial crew takes them away. Sometimes mercy is just not looking away. Not pretending it didn't happen. Not forgetting the names. And sometimes mercy is silence. A guy loses his mind in the snow. Starts sobbing. Starts talking to someone who's not there. Calls out for his father. For his dog. For God. You don't shame him. You don't stop him. You just sit beside him, shoulder to shoulder, and let it happen. Keep your mouth shut. That's mercy too. 'Cause sometimes words break a man faster than bullets. You've seen guys offer mercy the way others offer smokes. Quiet. Transactional. Needed. There was a sniper who came back shaking. First kill. Headshot. Close range. He couldn't stop crying. He dropped his rifle, sat down in the snow and said, "He looked like me." No one laughed. No one mocked. Someone, maybe it was Dunlop, lit a cigarette and handed it to him without a word. No sermon, no lesson. Just warmth. That was enough. That was mercy. The thing they never tell you. Mercy here isn't about saving someone. It's about preserving what little piece of humanity might still be left. And it's never easy. You see a guy with his legs gone and his eyes still open? That's the test. Do you run for help that won't come? Or do you sit there and hold his hand and lie to him gently until the light fades? Either way, you carry that choice forever. And no one writes it in the reports. No one gives you a medal for it. Sometimes mercy is letting a man go. He's begging you. You see it in his face. He doesn't ask with words. He asks with the way he stops clutching his wound. The way his breathing slows like he's waiting. He's asking without asking, please end it. You hesitate. You think about God, about justice, about the Geneva Conventions. Then you think about what happens if you don't. You think about him lying there for another 2 hours, freezing slowly, drowning in his own blood, wondering why you didn't help. So you pull your sidearm, and you cry after. Not loud, not right away, but later when no one's looking, because that part of you that died, it died for a reason. It died for him, and you pray not to be forgiven, but to forget. You've even seen mercy between enemies. Once you found a Chinese soldier, young, maybe 16, wounded, stuck in the ice, crying in a language you couldn't understand. Your guy raised his rifle, paused, then lowered it, gave him water, wrapped his coat around the boy's shoulders, stayed with him until he stopped breathing. That wasn't weakness. That was strength. The kind you don't learn in training. The kind you either have or find out here in the dark when no one's watching. Mercy is also knowing when not to ask. Like when a guy volunteers to go check the ridge. Alone. No orders. No backup. You know why he's doing it. He's tired. Too tired. He's not coming back. He wants out and he wants it to look noble. You let him go. That's mercy too. Because sometimes letting a man die on his terms is the only kindness left. The hard truth? Mercy's not always the right thing. But out here, it's the necessary thing. You give it where you can, even when it costs. Especially when it costs. Because it's the last thing that separates you from the ones who don't care. The ones who burn for fun, who torture, who smile when they kill. You're not one of them. Not yet. Not if you still choose mercy, even when it breaks you. And the weirdest part? You never know when it comes back around. Maybe one day you're the one begging. Maybe one day it's your legs gone, your eyes looking up at a comrade hoping he does the right thing. And maybe, just maybe, he will. Because you did. Because in the cold, and the silence, and the screaming, you made a choice to be human one last time. That's mercy. Not clean. Not glorious. Just human. They'll look at you funny when you get back. Not right away. At first they'll smile, shake your hand, tell you thank you and we're proud and you're safe now. You'll nod, say thanks, maybe even smile, but you'll feel it, the disconnect, like they're talking to someone who looks like you, but isn't you. And the truth? They're not wrong, because the man who came back isn't the man who left. That man, the one who boarded the boat with polished boots and a photo of his girl folded in his chest pocket, he didn't make it. You did, but not all of you, because there's something else now, something you brought with you, something no one can see. You'll carry it in your silence, in the way you flinch at loud sounds, in the way your eyes scan rooftops before you cross a street, in the way you grip your fork too tight at dinner. You'll carry it in your sleep or what's left of it. Short, broken, haunted. You'll wake up sweating even when the room is cold. You'll wake up choking on dirt that isn't there. You'll reach for your rifle in the dark, even though it's not beside you anymore. You'll whisper names in your sleep, not because you miss them, because you remember them, because they're still there, buried deep in that frozen foxhole behind your ribs. You'll carry it in how you walk, not just the limp from that old injury, but in the way you move like someone might shoot you any second. You'll never truly relax. Not in crowds, not in lines, not at birthday parties. You'll always sit facing the door, always checking windows, corners, shadows. You won't explain it. You'll just do it. And no one will notice, except maybe her, the one who waited. She'll say you're quiet now. You weren't before. She'll ask if something's wrong. You'll say no. Because how do you tell her that every time she lights a cigarette, it smells like burning canvas from that tent you pulled 3 bodies out of? How do you explain that the reason you don't like fireworks isn't because they're loud? It's because they sound like Chosen. How do you explain that love doesn't fix frostbite? Or that you're not broken? Just not the same. You'll carry it in conversations. Like when someone asks, "Did you kill anyone?" They won't mean harm. They'll say it like they're asking about your job. You'll lie, or joke, or say, "I don't want to talk about it," but you'll think about it, and not the killing, the after, the faces, the silence, the cold. You'll remember the one who begged, the one who ran, the one who never saw it coming. You'll remember how easy it got, how automatic. That's what keeps you up, not the first one, the 5th, the one where you didn't blink, didn't feel, just pulled the trigger and moved on. That's what you carry. They'll ask what it was like. You'll pause, because cold doesn't cover it, because loud doesn't capture the kind of silence that follows a man getting hit, because scary is what kids say about haunted houses. So you say rough, or you nod, or you change the subject, because war doesn't translate, not into stories, not into dinner talk, not into words at all. You'll carry it in the little things, the way you fold your clothes, the way you ration food without thinking, the way you memorize exits in public places. You'll carry it in your hands, scarred, calloused, still shaped like they're gripping a weapon. You'll carry it in your heart, beating, but slower, like it's pacing itself. Because it knows even now that you're not done with this war. Not really. You just change battlefields. You'll try to talk, maybe. Once. You'll tell someone what it was like that night on the ridge. How the snow glowed under the flares. How you could hear the enemy breathing. They'll nod, but their eyes will drift. They'll look at their phone, or sip their drink, or say something like, "Man, that's crazy," and you'll stop. Not because they were rude, but because they don't get it. Because how could they? They never woke up with frost in their eyelashes and a corpse for a pillow. They never saw a friend shoot himself in the foot just to go home. They never had to pick up what was left of a man and carry it in a tarp. So you let it go. You smile. You say, "Anyway, it's over now," even though it isn't. You'll carry guilt, not the kind people talk about, the survivor's kind. Why you made it, why others didn't. You'll carry the way Dunlop looked at you before the shell hit. You'll carry the joke Rivers told the night before he stepped on that mine. You'll carry a list of names you'll never say out loud, not because you forgot, because you remember too well. And here's the cruel part. You'll function. You'll hold a job, maybe get married, raise kids, pay taxes, cut the grass. You'll look fine, normal. But inside, there's a cold that never left. A cold that settled under your skin like shrapnel. They won't see it. They'll see you at the grocery store, waving, smiling. But they won't see the trench behind your eyes. They won't hear the snow crunching in your chest when you breathe. They won't feel the frostbite in your memory. That's what you carry. And someday maybe you'll be an old man. They'll say you were a veteran. They'll thank you for your service. And you'll nod. Say it was nothing. Because it wasn't nothing. But it was yours. Too heavy to share. Too sharp to hand off. A weight no one else can hold. So you carry it. Not with pride and not with shame. Just because it's yours. Let's not dress it up. You wouldn't last. Not a day. Not a night. Not an hour if we're being honest. And it's not because you're weak, or soft, or spoiled. It's because you're human. And this war, it breaks human. You think it's about toughness? No. It's about silence, cold, hunger, waiting. Watching your friends freeze to death while you still can't feel your feet. It's about eating food with fingers so numb you can't tell if you dropped it or not. It's about walking 20 miles through knee-deep snow with blood in your socks and rifles jamming from the cold, and wondering every 10 minutes if this is where you finally sit down and die. It's not cinematic. It's not noble. It's just suffering, hour after hour, day after day. Until the part of you that screamed goes quiet, and what's left just survives. You wouldn't last because your instincts are all wrong. You hear gunfire, you'd flinch, you'd duck, but out here, you hold still. You listen for where it's coming from. Because moving gets you killed faster than bullets do. You wouldn't last because you'd want to sleep. You'd beg for it. But sleeping here? That's when the cold wins. It climbs into your chest and whispers, "This is better. Just stay here. Just rest." And if you listen, you're gone. You'd think you could handle the fear. You've seen movies, played games, watched heroes walk into fire like it's destiny. But here, fear isn't a feeling. It's a state. It's waking up afraid, eating afraid, pissing afraid, staring at the ridge for 6 hours, convinced someone's out there waiting to slit your throat, and knowing that you still have to sit there. And you don't move, because moving gets you spotted, and being spotted gets you dead. You'd want to call someone. You'd want to text, to post, to scream that it's cold, that it's hard, that it's not fair. But no one's coming, and no one cares. You're just a body in a valley with 300,000 other bodies, and your job is to hold the line until they tell you otherwise. And when the radio dies, you hold it anyway, because the cold isn't the enemy. Doubt is. You wouldn't last because you'd try to help. You'd run toward the scream. You'd grab your buddy and try to drag him back. You'd use both arms, all your strength, all your hope, but he's bleeding too fast, and the snow's too deep, and the mortars are coming again, and you'll have to choose, him or you. And if you choose him, you both die. That's what no one tells you. Out here, kindness gets people killed. Mercy is math. And survival? It's cruel. You wouldn't last because you'd think someone is in control. But they're not. Not the generals. Not the maps. Not even God. The war does what it wants. Plans fail. Supplies run dry. Evac gets delayed. Snowstorms cancel air support. And while command tries to make new plans, you're out there, freezing, starving, watching the sky for planes that won't come. You wouldn't last because you'd ask why too much. Why are we still here? Why didn't we pull out? Why are they sending us up that hill again? And the guys around you? They stopped asking weeks ago. Because why gets you nowhere. Why gets you killed. You do the job. You hold the line. You bury the friend. You eat the ration. You pull the trigger. Then you do it again tomorrow. Because that's what it is. You wouldn't last because you'd try to feel. You'd cry. You'd write letters. You'd pray. But those things melt out here. They don't last. They don't protect you from the cold, from the decisions, from the things you see and do and become. You want to feel? Then you'll bleed. You want to survive? Then you go numb. That's the cost. That's the trade. That's what the Korean War was. A slow trade of humanity for heat. And the guys who did last? Don't envy them. Because they didn't come back whole. They came back quiet. Distant. Carrying pieces of men you've never heard of. From battles no one talks about. They came back without the tears. Without the laughter. Without the part that says I deserve to feel okay again. They survived a winter war that didn't end when they came home. It just got colder. Inside. You think you could have done it. You think you would have made it. But I promise you, you wouldn't last. Not a day. Not in this frostbitten corner of hell where fire burns less than snow and silence is more dangerous than gunfire. Where the dead are warmer than the living and the sky is empty and the frost doesn't just bite takes. But maybe that's the point. Maybe you're not supposed to last. Because the men who did, they carried it for the rest of us. So we wouldn't have to. So you could sit in your warm bed listening to this story and think, God, I didn't know it was like that. Now you do. And if that changes you even a little, then they didn't suffer for nothing.